and family members told me that I looked just like him or whatever, you know. And you know, through all my life, to be truthfully honest with you, my dad been in and out of jail. You know, and it was a relationship that you know, the earliest I could go back is saying my dad in jail. I think I was maybe like 3 or 4 years old, and my mom took me to see him over D.C. jail, and she wanted my father had asked me what I wanted for my birthday. I think I said a green machine.
Green machine.
Yeah, asked for a green machine, and when I asked for it, you know, I'm thinking to myself as a kid, like, how is he gonna get me a green machine and he's behind his glass, you know, because you go over DC jail, phone on the inmate side and the phone on the visitor side. But yeah, growing up, I admired my father, to be truthfully honest with you. When he was out on the street, I admired him because he was a ladies' man. All the women loved him. They loved the way he dressed. They loved the way he carried himself. He was well groomed. He drove all the nicest cars. I mean, all the latest cars he had. He had the latest jewelry. He traveled a lot, you know, and things like that. That's what I saw. That's what I like. I admired that. And during the 80s, you know, with the hustling game, you know what I'm saying? The hustling game was like very flashy. My father wasn't a flashy guy. He was an old school guy, but he just was so smooth and cool.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I really never, as a kid, I just admired them. Like, I just looked at him, you know, like, wow, like, that's my dad, because of the way he carried himself. And my dad was he was a hustler. That's all he did his entire life, was sell drugs. That was his thing. That was his go-to thing. And that caused a rough relationship between him and my mom's, because when I was growing up, you know, my mother didn't have the support from my dad. She didn't have it. He didn't do anything for me. In order for her to get something, she had to ask him. And, you know, he always put her on Promise Street. And so it kind of caused a rough relationship. But it also, my mom used to always say, you know, your dad didn't send an egg over here for you to eat. And things like that stuck with me as I grew older, as I matured, and I got out there on the streets myself. But the thing that, like I say, you know, as a kid, all I knew was that it was my dad. But my dad, when I was young, and my mother didn't tell me he sold drugs. I witnessed it myself, you know.
Now, what age did you witness him selling drugs?
I believe I was about 7 or 8 years old. About 7 years old when I noticed that he was selling drugs. When I would go over to my aunt's house, my aunt lived on the same block as my dad. My aunt stayed on 17th and Bay. My father stayed on 18th and Bay.
Okay.
And so when I would go over to my aunt's house on the weekend, because the first 4 years of my life, my father's family did not accept me.
Okay.
They did not accept me. And the reason why they didn't accept me as my father's child, I looked just like my dad. Everything. I mean, stand like him, walk like him, talk like him, like we twins. You know what I'm saying? They say that my dad spit me out, and that's basically what he did. But the thing is that with me looking like him and other family members, basically his friends, family members, people in the neighborhood recognize me as, you know, like, wow, he looked just like Wayne, just looked like Wayne. But the problem, the point that I'm trying to get to, because I kind of like lost the train of my thought, was that my dad on the weekend, what would happen is, because I only went over my aunt's house during the weekend.
Okay.
What my aunt would do, she would allow us to go to the store. And we would go up to the 15th Street store, which is like 3 blocks away. And she would time us. She would be like, you better be back here in 15 minutes. She gave us 7 minutes up there to the store and 7 minutes back. And we wasn't back. But when I used to always go, I would always walk on the Massachusetts side going up to 15th Street, 15th and Massachusetts, and make the right on 15th Street. And I would see my dad out there with the drug addicts. And my dad sold dope. He was a heroin dealer, during that time. And I would always see him out there, and he just was like he was fresh dressed around. He was fresh dressed around people that were using drugs. People that use drugs don't normally dress in the latest designers and look well groomed and clothed and things like that. And so that's when I started kind of like paying attention to it, that he was doing something, but I wasn't sure what it was. It was revealed to me by one of my older cousins that's what he was doing. My mother never told me directly that's what he was doing.
Okay. So she never told you when you visited him at 3 years old in jail what he was in there for. She just took you to go visit.
Yeah, she just took me to go visit. I want to clear something up right quick. Like I was explaining, my family, my father's family didn't accept me until I was 4 years old. But mind you, like I say, my aunt and my dad lived on the same block. You know what I'm saying? And what happened was, like I say, the family members, friends, everybody in the neighborhood seeing how much I looked like my dad, and it was just like, wow. They was just like, wow, like, how could my dad accept me? How can his family not accept me, not being his child? You know what I'm saying? So it was basically a thing where my mom took my dad for child support.
Okay.
And
okay.
his family got upset about it. They were upset about it. And then it took them 4 years. Like people were getting on him like he looked just like him. And the funny part about it is that my dad supposedly had a older child, which is basically he's I think like 9 months older than me.
Okay.
And my dad actually had 3 kids coming at the same time. And the oldest one, the one that's 9 months older than me, he accepted him, but he's really not my dad's child. He's really not my dad's child. But that's what people were getting on him, like, how can you accept a child that don't look like you, and this boy is the spitting image of you? Mm-hmm. So that's where it kind of came down on his family. Like, they was like, nah, y'all can't do this boy like this. This boy looked just like him. You accepted a child that's not even the same complexion. He doesn't even look like him, don't act like him, you know what I'm saying? And so that's basically how all of that began. And once I was accepted by my father's family, that's a story within itself as well. But growing up in that neighborhood basically allowed me the opportunity to see my dad on the weekend. When I would go over to my aunt's house, that's how I was able to see my dad during the weekend. During the week, my father didn't call. He didn't come by or anything like that. If my mother didn't pull up on my dad, to ask for some money, I didn't see him.
Okay.
But that's what gave me the opportunity to see my dad was on the weekend.
On the weekend because both of your aunt and your grandmother lived on the same block.
Yeah, but same block.
Okay, and your father frequently his mother's house a lot during the weekends and coming through.
Yep.
Okay.
And that's where one of his drug strips was at. 15th Street was one of his drug strips.
15th Massachusetts.
15th in Massachusetts. 15th in Independence, right there. Right there on the corner.
Now, when they accepted you as a child and you felt the love from them, did that make you feel better that you didn't have to tiptoe around your father's family? Meaning that, when you walked in, you was accepted now, and you didn't have the side eye, or it wasn't a mumbling. How did you feel being accepted by a family that you admire? Now I got the whole family on board.
I never felt accepted by my dad's family. I know that they knew I looked like him. I know that they knew that I was my dad's child, but it was an environment of favoritism.
Okay.
So the favoritism was more towards my oldest brother that my father accepted as his child that really was not his child. And my grandmother is she's not an evil person, but she's a person that doesn't let go. You understand what I'm saying? Like, she didn't want to take her anger and her frustration out on me because I was the innocent one, but the way she felt, the way she acted towards my mom's allowed me not to really connect with her. You feel what I'm saying?
Right.
I couldn't connect with her because as a kid I didn't understand what those emotions and those tensions and stuff like that. That was kind of like a little bit traumatizing to me, trying to understand it. Now I'm a man now and I understand it, but when I was a kid I just was like, okay, this is my dad's family. You know, my grandmother was I'm talking about my father's mother. My father's mother was she was a good person deep down. I loved her pancakes. She used to fix us pancakes every weekend. That's all we wanted to eat when I was to go around there with my brothers and my cousins as well. But you know, I never really felt accepted. I felt it like the black sheep.
Black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
Now, let's take it to your aunt house where you was accepted fully, and you had other cousins that you could be at peace with, and we all can love each other at your aunt house. So tell me about your aunt house. Tell me about how you felt about her and the love, and tell me about why her house was the common denominator for all your cousins that you grew up with.
My mother she's the type of person that she liked to send me and my brother William into the same environments, in the same neighborhoods, and the same schools that she grew up in.
Okay.
And she wanted us to be around my aunt because my aunt was more disciplined. Now my mother was a disciplinary too, but my aunt she was on a whole nother level.
Grandma level. She was on grandma level.
She was on that level where, like, I enjoyed going over her house. It was fun just being around her kids. Now, in her household, there were 11 people total that lived there in a 5-bedroom house.
Okay.
Right? It was fun just to be around my cousins. It was fun to go to the boys club right there on 17th and Massachusetts. It was just fun. It was just fun. I mean, the things that we did when we were kids, man. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. We used to play the fart game. You couldn't go to sleep. You couldn't be the first to go to sleep, and you couldn't be the last to wake up. Because you was the last to wake up, you got farted in your face. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
We had fun where we would do things like late at night. Like, we would had shoe fights in the dark, man, throwing big boots and tennis shoes at each other. You could get hit anywhere, whatever, scar, things like that. But some of the funnest times that I have in my life was basically at my aunt's house. But I really didn't like my aunt. Like, even till this day, I didn't like the way she disciplined us. I think that her way of disciplining was too aggressive and things like that. And I say this to say this and say this to say this is that, she whooped us with the ironing cord, where my moms would whoop us with a belt.
Okay.
Right? My mother whooped us with a belt. We took them belt, and kept it ticking. Like, my aunt would whoop us with the ironing cord. Now, what I'm saying, as kids, people look at it like kids had to do something for her to do that. Now, she had to be disciplined because she had a lot of kids herself.
Okay.
There, and her grandkids in the house. But the problem I had was when me and my brother would come over there during the weekend, me and my brother William, we would be just getting there, and she would whoop us with her kids. I'm sitting like, you know what I'm saying? I'm coming over here to have fun. I'm only here for 48 hours. Here I am, I'm getting a whooping because somebody took some ice cream out of the freezer.
Well, she just whooping you because she wants you to know what you're going to get if you do something else anyway.
Man, but we took a lot of ass whoopings. Excuse my language, I can cuss. Yeah, we took a lot of ass whoopings over my aunt's house, man. Because something was always getting stolen out the freezer. Something was always getting taken out of the ice box. And then there were times we done stuff that we weren't supposed to do.
Okay.
It was a lot of times we was bucking, man. We was like bucking the system or whatever. But it was a fun environment. I used to feel embarrassed being over there sometimes too, because, you know, I liked it a female on the block and things like that. And I liked it, you know, Crystal and Murchie lived across the street.
Right.
Then you had Melly. That was my puppy love down the street. You know, there was a couple of females on the street, but shit, at night, man, you know, when my uncle was getting ready to whoop our ass, the whole goddamn block heard us getting our ass whooping. You know,
that loud?
That's damn right. She got the iron cord out there, man. Like, man, mother,
You hear that way?
you hear that? Look, she got to whoop 15 kids. She got to whoop 15 kids.
She didn't get tired after the first time?
Man, listen, I'm great to say to you, man. You know, during the days where we started sneaking out, you know, going to Payne when Junkyard used to play up there, going to Holy Comforter, we would sneak out. We'd try to wait till she go to sleep. She'd go to sleep about 10, 11. We hit that goddamn back door thinking we gonna get back in the house before she wake up. She already know we already gone, man. We get back in there, you know, about 2 o'clock, going to sleep. Everybody knocked out, everybody in their zone. You know, and we got to a pattern where on the weekend where you put on extra clothes. You put on 2 jeans, 2 sweatshirts. You know what I'm saying? You go to sleep like that because you already knew she was. And you know, like, and then another thing, like when we was over there, man, like you gotta think about it, man. You got 15 kids in there, and we sleeping in goddamn twin beds. You got 4 people in this bed, 4 people in that bed, 4 people in that bed. You understand what I'm saying? Nigga, feet in your face and stuff. You fall asleep, and then she ain't just pull you out the bed. She just swung on the bed. Like, she take the iron cord and it hit maybe 2. And the first person you hit hollering, you know, look, everybody in the corner. Everybody go to the opposite corner and she'll work on that one person and she'll whoop. You know what I'm saying? People, it was just crazy, man. It was real crazy, man. But
now, let's go back to your father's mother. Did you ever go over there and intertwine with his sisters and brother kids the way you did your mother's sister kids down the street?
Yeah, I did. You know, once I started going over there, I would, you know, on the weekends and stuff like that. My aunts, I had 2 aunts, and they would stop by. My uncle, my father had a brother. He was in Lawton at the time or whatever, and he was doing time on a murder beef. But you know, my aunts, they were cool, but like I say, that connection wasn't there. You feel what I'm saying? I really didn't feel the love because the way it was like they was following my grandmother. You know what I'm saying? How my grandmother felt, they felt. You feel what I'm saying? So I never felt. That's why I said it was. I never felt that connection.
Was on the street as cousins, like you up here with your cousins right here. Your mom's sister cousins. I mean, your mom's sisters, y'all cousins. And you saw your cousins from your father's side. Did you intertwine y'all together, or you just kept it like you said, I'm going to deal with them when I'm here, and when I go over there, if I see them, I see them? Or what was the situation when y'all was outside together, or you never had both sides of your cousins on the street at the same time?
Yeah. I mean, what basically happened was, like, when me and my brother Win would go over to my aunt's house, like I said, my aunt had like 11 kids. You know, so you add me and my brother, that's 13.
Okay.
Then you add my cousin Terrell, that's 14.
Okay.
So what I would do sometimes to keep from getting my ass whooped, what I would do I'll go over my grandmother's house.
Okay.
You feel what I'm saying? That way I still was able to interact with my cousins and stuff like that. But my grandmother, she'll make us get the switch if we done something. And then she wasn't trying to beat you half to death. Okay. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
She'll hit you. That was very, very rare that we had to get a switch. And we had to pick your own switch. You know damn well you can get the littlest goddamn switch. You feel what I'm saying? But my brother on my father's side was at my grandmother's house during the weekend, and my cousin William. I got another cousin named William, just like my brother named William. I had another cousin named William.
Okay.
That was at my grandmother's house. And so when the weekend came, all of us hung together. That's how we became a crew. You understand what I'm saying? You know, back during that time, back in the 80s, man, it was about having your crew. You know what I'm saying? You had the Gangster Chronic crews, you had the Young crew, the CC crew, you had the Eighth and H crew. You know what I'm saying? It was about building your own crew and establishing the people that you trust if you got into a fight and or if you got jumped. Them people became my family member. That's how we became tight. But to go back to how everything basically fell into place of how we basically became a crew, it really goes back to my father's reputation. Like I say, my father sold drugs in that neighborhood.
Okay.
He controlled that neighborhood. All the drug dealers that sold drugs up on 15th Street, even the drug addicts respected him. He controlled it. So with them knowing that I was his son, that gave me protection. That made me untouchable.
So what year now you already tapped into when you was going to the recreation center to see jump, but what year while you was going around your family, your cousins and all that, where y'all decided that it's time for us to leave the block and go, instead of going to the store, I'm going to go around 15th Street and I'm going to holler at a couple of folks. Or I'm going to go up on 15th and Independence, holler at a couple of folks. What was school made y'all venture off, or y'all got together and said, it's time for us to spread our wings and leave the porch? And then your father's reputation come into play then? Or you knew as a kid coming up that once I leave the porch, my father's reputation gonna give me at least a head start in the game, or whatever I wanted to do?
It was, like I told you, like I admired my father. I'm not gonna sit here and lie and say I hate him because he didn't do anything for me. But his reputation protected me. It gave me an accolade that I didn't work for myself. I didn't have to put in the work myself. You understand what I'm saying? It was a foundation already there for me. The perfect thing, like I say, my aunt and my dad lived on the same block, right? So I come into the neighborhood as we were growing up. People would look out for me. I mean, like, I could be just walking and guys would stop me and be like, hey, you Wayne's son? They'll give me $50 during that time, $100 bill, man. You know, $20. That was like, man, that was big.
$1 million in the 80s.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, and dudes was doing this every weekend.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying? And then before we really stepped off the block, man, it was a thing where this was before the gunplay was in place. We talking about 82, 83, 84, 85. Okay. This is when fighting was in. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I was the best fighter. Did I get my ass whooped a couple of times? Yes, I did. You know what I'm saying? That's what caused me to start fighting. Okay? First and foremost, I want to get an understanding of this story. If it wasn't for my father's reputation of who he was and his respect on the street, my crew, my cousins, the dudes that I hung out with will not have been able to become known in the city. They would not be known if it wasn't for my father's reputation. Now, let's take it a step further. It go back to when I was in the first grade. I went to Hers Elementary School over there by Eastgate, because I had cousins that lived over there. And before we actually moved from over Call Place, and my cousins and them were staying, I had cousins that were staying in Eastgate at the time. What happened was this guy named this little dude named Lil Greg, that used to live down in Eastgate. He used to get me every fucking day, man. Every day, what Lil Greg would do, this is when I was in the first grade, Lil Greg would do, he would walk up to me, you know, like, because, you know, when you're in the first grade, you got, you know, come out, stand up, line up, and then the teacher dismiss you. Right. You know what I'm saying? And so I had to walk my little brother home every day or whatever. And Lil Greg would get me every single day. He would walk up to me or walk. I'm thinking he gonna walk past. I mean, and I was just dumb. I was just not, I was naive. I didn't see it coming.
Right.
And so what he would do was walk past and then he'll steal me and take off running. And so what happened was with that was I got tired of him doing that. So what I basically did was when I went over to my grandmother's house, that my grandmother lived in Marlboro Plaza. My older cousin, Sonny Boy, was a boxer. And Sonny Boy could box. And so I went over there and I told him what was happening. I said, man, this guy keeps stealing me. He keep, you know what I'm saying, punching me and running away or whatever. He taking off. So Sonny was just training me. He trained me the entire damn time I was over there on the weekend. He had me doing push-ups. He had me throwing punches, jabs, all of that. Okay. And he told me what to do. He said, man, when you go back to school, man, he said, when that dude get close enough to you, he said, wait till he get close enough to you. He said, you better just swing on him. You better just go on him. And so what happened was when I went back to school, we got out of school that day. The dude did the same exact thing. He tried to walk up on me, and I just stole him. I just started swinging. I just was swinging. And after that day, I didn't have a problem. Right. And so what happened was I continued to train with my cousin Sonny Boy during the weekend on how to fight. And so when I started to come over to my aunt's house during the weekend, now mind you, at this particular time, we don't move from Call Place. We don't move from the Eastgate area. You understand what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Because in that area, I want you to get what I'm saying. My whole family grew up in that area, so I didn't have to fight like that. It was just everybody knew each other. Everybody parents knew each other. You got into a fight, you know what I'm saying? Somebody come knock on your door, man, your son was fighting my son, blah, 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 and it was squash. Right. Now, mind you, my mother moves from out of Call Place, Eastgate area, and she moves over to Congress Park. Total different ball game. Total different ball game. We didn't know nobody in the neighborhood. You know what I'm saying? See, me and my brother, we was used to coming outside. What we would do, we would come outside. You know, when we were living in our old neighborhood, we'll just come outside on the front. We'll just play, bring our toys out. You couldn't do that in Congress Park. Okay. Congress Park, man, you know, man, it was, man, boy, I remember when we came from our Congress Park, when we first started coming outside, like the first week we didn't go outside. You know what I'm saying? We would just be looking out the window watching the kids play. So, you know, just getting out, you know, getting a feel for the hood. Mm-hmm. Man, we come outside to play, man, the whole goddamn neighborhood. It was just like, we got some new meat. You know what I'm saying? It was like, we got some new meat. Who these dudes is, man? You know what I'm saying? They coming out trying to take our toys, smacking our head. Man, it was just rough. And so...
Yes, Leon. Well, his mom was a federal government worker, his father an in and out of prison drug dealer. Dwayne Williams told us he tried to be like his dad. He never killed anybody, but had shot and wounded 5 people by the time he was 18, and then one day he was looking down the barrel of a gun. Williams, 31 now, writes about selling drugs by age 13, making a reputation as a gun-toting tough guy in school and on the streets. The thug life comes to an end when he's shot outside this carryout at 15th and C Southeast. The shooter, called Tyson in the book, is his childhood playmate and cousin Michael Beckham, who's sent off to prison for 10 years as a severely wounded Williams rethinks life. Tyson, the cousin who shot him, is back from prison, armed and extorting money from people all over D.C.
It's 2 of them don't got killed. Ain't been 8 hours.
That's his aunt talking on ABC 7 News about the murders of his cousin Martin, a drug dealer, and Martin's best friend. The family suspects Tyson, and there's panic.
I was more afraid, wondering who is going to go next. I knew it could be me.
A week later, when Tyson shows up at the dead cousin's funeral, he's ambushed and shot to death 32 times by another cousin and 2 other men, who then lead D.C. police on a 37-minute chase before all 3 are captured.